Hey, welcome to Dude's Brunch. I'm your host, Taylor, and tonight with me on this podcast about music and culture and everything that makes us sad inside in the black hole of Eastgate, Ohio, Tyler Reed. What'd you have for brunch today?
Despair. LOL. I had a burrito as per usual. But let Sean have his giggle. His little giggle party over there. But yesterday, I got to hang out with my girlfriend for the first time in like 2 weeks. And we went to Park and Vine, which is a nice little vegan restaurant, and I had a quinoa geta lettuce and tomato sandwich on a gluten-free ciabatta bread. A plus, but does not get an A plus in filling, especially when you have burritos every day.
Mm-hmm. But who really needs to be full when life is just a march towards death?
Right, of course.
Good point.
Freezing to death in the port city of Cleveland, Ohio. Sean Evans, what did you have for brunch today?
Sullen oats. Sullen oats and black coffee. Hot sullen oats.
Black like your soul.
Yeah.
Black like your metal.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm your host, Taylor, and for brunch today I had eggs, which is fitting because it's like eating something before it's alive so that it doesn't have to be. Anyway.
Yeah, we need to be done with that. That was just,
so welcome
that
to
was just
Dude's
too
Brunch.
sad.
We wanted to do a bit because we're going to be talking about metal and emo tonight, and that's why we have our ridiculous...
And villains.
And villains, yeah.
And anti-heroes. God.
Yeah, so it's going to be
He's not here in
night
this
tonight,
conversation tonight.
and that's why we have our lovely dark banners. Tweet at Dude's Brunch and let us know what you think of our ridiculous nicknames. Whose is the best? Who would have totally been your emo MySpace crush circa 2009? And maybe we'll have an emo contest at the end of the show or something. I don't even know what that would be like.
2009? Dude, I was in college in 2009.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let's say circa 2007. Sorry, I got my years wrong.
That's fine. That'll work.
And make sure to pick which side you're on. Are you on vampire in a robe and a hat, or vulture with a skull and magic coming out of his eyes? Which side are you on? Vulture or bat? Decide on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, your banner is obscuring your face and it looks ridiculous.
Well, Taylor, you don't go halfway on a joke, okay? You go all the way on a joke.
All right, and with that, let's go ahead and get started. I think first up tonight, let's go ahead and talk about metal shirts and jackets from H&M. Tyler?
Right. Okay, so if you weren't aware, H&M is a Swedish clothing store that has previously done some fairly offensive things, such as selling a T-shirt with a skull with a Jewish star like behind it, sort of like intersecting it, and also selling Native American headdresses. So there's sort of a precedent for their for what happened like last week. So they've been selling these metal-inspired shirts that have like these patches of these fake bands. And so what happened was the, I guess, multi-instrumentalist of Fintroll decided to make those fake bands real and release like content for them. And so he was trying to make them as like awful as possible, like white supremacists, you know, like very, very, like H&M wouldn't want to actually support these bands at all.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone for a day thought that H&M was actually like secretly supporting these underground like Nazi artists, you know. It turns out it was all just an elaborate hoax. So I guess what I wanted to ask about is how do you feel about them making those fake patches? Is it okay to come up with fake bands? Is it just because H&M did it? Like if it was, I don't know, let's say me as an artist decide to make like a T-shirt design of a fake band that doesn't exist. That's what that first part implies. Fake does not exist. Uh, would that be okay? Would you have a problem with that, or is it because it's like a major retail chain that doesn't really actually care about supporting artists?
But I don't. It's okay. So it doesn't bother me that you want to use like metal stuff, because that would make my wardrobe pretty cool instantly, and that would be pretty nice. Um, I mean, as a employee of the fashion industry, there are like elements of rock and roll that kind of slip in, or maybe it's the other way around, that like elements of rock and roll clothing, metal clothing, always kind of are within mainstream fashion. Um, like we sell this really awesome denim jacket, and I like it a lot. One of the guys I work with bought it, and he put like metal patches and punk patches all over it, like my jacket kind of, and it looks really cool. I like it a lot. I don't think he's into the punk rock or metal music, but I'm fine with it. Like I don't really have any. I don't want to judge him because it looks really cool, and it's about the aesthetic for me. So
So Sean does not have a problem with a company coming up with fake bands and using them not as like to support the musician, but just as like a fashion statement.
hmm
Taylor?
You know, I'm half and half on this. I think it's fine to adopt the aesthetic. I think it's okay, I guess, to make up fake bands just because their names look good on a T-shirt or on a jacket. But I do think like you have to have some level of awareness about what you're doing. And when you read the interview, we'll link to it in the show notes, with the guy who made up these fake bands, he was saying like H&M just kind of designed logos that looked good rather than thinking about what those logos would actually mean about that metal band, because certain font choices and things like actually align you with those neo-Nazi groups and with different parts of that scene. And I think that's really what it's all about. Like, you need to be mindful in your design, just like bands need to be mindful in their music, about who you're paying homage to and who you're ripping off.
Absolutely. It's interesting because the people that like there's another link to another article that has like Rihanna and like Kanye West wearing just like these pants that just have like sweatpants that just have like metal patches on them and stuff. Like, but I think it's a British company, so it's not H&M, but it's like a similar, I guess, kind of company. And it's like, do those people really care that it's like a metal thing, or is it just because it's like it's an expensive piece of clothing and they just think it looks cool? I don't know. It feels it feels disingenuous, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's like in the documentary, I forget what it's called, about Crass. They talk about David Beckham wearing a Crass shirt because they never copyrighted their logo.
hmm
And one of the guys from Crass was like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's okay, as long as we can put David Beckham on our shirts and, like, make pictures of him naked sitting on the A-bomb, in which case, yeah, he can absolutely wear our shirts in public. And
Which is, I guess,
you
like
know,
Minor Threat. I think they let American Apparel. There's some company
yeah,
that
Minor
that they
Threat
that they
and Ian MacKaye have been totally cool with anybody taking their images and putting them on shirts and things because they never
well,
copyrighted their stuff on purpose.
I don't know if Ian MacKaye was specifically okay with it. I think he was just. I think he specifically said he was tired of people pirating it, and like he didn't want to fuck with it.
That's
It's
exactly
pretty
right.
much
He was like,
right.
I just don't want to deal with this. And so if it makes more people buy the record and get interested in Minor Threat, that's cool.
Right.
yeah, that's one reason I look at it as not a big deal. Like I don't even really care that much that you like pay homage or you like read into the font styles, it doesn't really bother me that much because I think the positive exposure towards metal is all good. I like it. People listen to it. It's all the better. Um, I don't know. It just seems like spilled milk a little bit to me. Like, if there's anything that came from the story that was funny for me, is that the elaborateness of this troll is fantastic.
Oh yeah, the
Like that,
dedication
like
to detail.
right. That's what I mean. Like these people. If there's one thing about the metal community is that like they are willing to put in. I'm not willing to put in this amount of time, but like they're willing to put in a lot of time to really troll somebody. And it, like I don't think that's exactly admirable either. But like, you know, they did it. I mean, they made H&M like, oh no, like
Did they
PR.
make
What do
them
we
all
do
now?
now?
I don't
Yeah, I think that
actually
they
know.
did. I looked
Oh,
I looked it up in the news, and there was a lot of people that were reporting on this. Like, is
Oh, okay.
H&M supporting white supremacy in Northern Europe? And I was like, okay, like, no, probably not. They're an international company, but like, I don't know. I mean, after I read your article, I went and watched a bunch of stuff about metal just because haven't watched a lot of it
Right.
a lot, and I mean for a while, and like all these different subgenres of metal. There's a really fascinating documentary that I watched about one-man metal that was done by Noisy. It was actually really freaky because they found like the social outcast people that were like borderline sociopathic, I think. But I mean, I was like, so that's what makes metal interesting for me. It's kind of it's diverse in some ways.
So
But
what you're saying, Sean, is that this had the opposite effect of what we think that the person who made these bands intended, and that it was actually more publicity
For metal.
for H&M. No,
yeah,
for
well,
H&M.
Well, I
That's
don't
what-
think
yeah,
H&M
probably. I
came
mean,
out on
I
positive.
don't think they
necessarily,
meant
don't.
to have like a PR stunt. I don't think it was like, yeah, we're gonna hire some people to like get us in the news for publicity because I don't think that's how that works. I mean, it might, and then good on H&M, I guess, for creating a viral underground hype about anti-Semitic metal bands that they put on their clothes. But like, I don't think that doesn't sound like something that a corporation would do to promote their clothing line. I don't think.
Right. We got a tweet from Ixelcodal, which is my girlfriend, Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
She said, making fake
Whatever.
logos for anything is practice design and fashion filler is practice design and fashion filler, but lends no authenticity if it's not a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think if you're a designer, like a fashion designer, if you're concerned with authenticity, that's not the way to go. But I don't know. Some people aren't. Some people, it's more about the aesthetic than it is about the authenticity.
You know, okay, so on Offset, like when I first posted this, I was like, yeah, this is really dumb. H&M's dumb. But like when I hear people like both of you are like, oh, it's not really that big a deal. I'm like, you know what?
Maybe it's not.
It's not that big of a deal. I mean, I'm not gonna buy their clothes. People no like metalhead is gonna buy that, because
No, because they're not going to shop at H&M.
Right.
They're probably not going to shop.
Right.
Period. Or
They're
at
not
H&M.
coming in. They're not coming into my store and shopping. I'll tell you that.
They have a commune of T-shirts.
Yeah.
That they share.
They buy it out of the Hammer catalog, page 92. Just a full list of metal T-shirts of all the classic metal bands. Order it online.
And as a fun final question, do you have any fake band names? What sort of like naming genre stereotypes are like? Do you associate with certain genres?
I mean, I feel like you can name an emo band after any 80s movie or any park.
Oh, yeah. Yosemite.
Yeah, well, not Yosemite. I think that's a little
It
too
can't be
much.
too famous.
Yeah, it has to be lesser known parks.
Oh, okay.
So like
Salt Lake.
Bicentennial Park,
Oh.
emo band. Done.
Contemporary emo. You take any sport and you add any sort of
Put
anything
American
before
on
or after.
American baseball.
Northern European hockey.
it.
Done. Printed.
Quebec curling.
There you go.
Tweet us your fake band names, people.
I
I think
for any late '80s metal band, just recycle any amount of names from the mid '80s American Gladiators.
I would say
Ice Lightning.
any kind of like Americana punk. Just take the lead singer's name and then name the band after like some object.
Or any president before the 1900s.
Yeah, so you could call yourself like
Wait.
the Van Burens.
Yeah. Oh. The Van Buren
like-
arsonists.
Or like Tyler Reed and the Candlesticks.
There you go. Beautiful. I love it.
That being said, I saw Sammy Kaye and the 4th Street Singers open up for Gaslight Anthem last night.
Yeah.
Cool
that.
stuff. Look them up.
Oh yeah, Wade taking pictures the whole time. The first thing I thought was like, I hope somebody has a swatter. I hope somebody has a Ramon swatter, and they're just like going around just like batting people's things
He
down.
could have had a selfie stick, is all I'm saying.
I took
Yeah,
4 pictures. 4. During
Hey, that's 4 too many.
No,
That's 4 moments where somebody couldn't see the stage because of you.
there were 3 bands and I took 4 pictures. I think that's okay.
We have a question from Sarah, by the way. If someone
All
wants
right,
to read that.
let's pull that up.
See it.
I think clothing companies have done the same thing for a while by making up fake universities to promote preppy fashion, but no one actually believes that they're going to those universities if they buy that clothing.
Reed University.
Yeah,
lay,
every
lay,
university
lay.
is a good school.
Speaking of
Yeah,
that, I designed a
quality
t-shirt this
education.
weekend.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll get to that in Shameless Plugs, but yeah. Tyler did design a t-shirt.
It's not anywhere, so it's not like they're going to see it.
Yeah, but you can at least tell them about it.
Right.
I don't know. I think fake band names are fun. It's a good pastime when you're out with people drinking chocolate milk or whatever it is you do on Friday night.
Oh, one of the band names that I really like that I'm going to use someday is called Think Like a Mackerel.
Done.
Really like
What
that.
was your one about the temple?
Oh, you can't use this because I still want to use this. I'm dead set on using this for a band name.
Sunrise
Temple
over
Electric.
Vulcan.
The Temple Electric, that's right. Such
Okay.
a good band name. My friend Daniel had an 80s new wave band. I can't remember. Oh, the name of the band was Caution, and then each album title would be like a different disclaimer. So like Wet Floor
Mm-hmm.
or like
I like
Speed
it.
Bump or something. Yeah, it was gonna be really cool.
And if you wanted to make it like an experimental like rock album or a rock band, it would be the name of this band is Caution, and that would be the name of the band.
There you go. Anything else on fake bands and the fashion industry?
Kind of tailored out of this one.
All right, well then let's bring it down. Everybody, pull together your hoodies, tighten your hoodie strings.
Wait, what are we talking
Get ready
about
for
now?
the long, cold winter, because it's time to talk about Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh. Go for it.
So-
Start it off.
So Death Cab for Cutie's new album was opened up for a free stream on NPR this week. It comes out next week, but you can stream it on NPR and a few other places for free. And I really like Death Cab for Cutie. They're like one of the bands from high school that I still really pay attention to because I just enjoy their sound. And I was interested in this album because they're doing some lineup changes at the moment, and so I was kind of worried about them, but I really like the sound. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit sparser. There's not as much going on, but I think it's pretty nice. Well, nice in that it's very sad, and it's beautifully composed,
Thanks for that.
but it makes you very sad. So with that, I'll open it up to you two. What did you think?
Lineup changes is a good way to put quitting. People quitting. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, that's what I think about that. I wouldn't say it's a lineup change. I think it's I'm saying like, okay, I'm done with this band. Um, okay, so I liked the album. I I didn't really listen to the lyrics that much, as much as I did the music, and it kind of sounded like The Cure a lot to me, like a lot of '80s emo influences, which was cool. I like that a lot. The single was cool. The music video was kind of strange. For crap, what was it?
Oh,
Blood.
Black Sun.
Yeah, Black Sun. Blood something. Jeez, I'm in like a metally mood.
That video is super sad.
Yeah. So I mean,
We'll link to it
but it's
below.
a good album though. It definitely will be up there with all the other Death Cab for Cutie albums that you think like, that's catchy. Like I remember after I got done listening to it, I went on YouTube and tried to look some other stuff up about it. And what was their last huge single? I will
I Will Possess Your Heart.
Yeah, I Will Possess Your Heart came on, and I was like, oh my god, that's right. I forgot that this song was so cool because it had like an 8-minute intro of like piano and then bass and all this stuff.
Was Narrow Stairs their last album?
No, Codes and Keys came between Narrow Stairs and this one, but Ben Gibbard had just married Zooey Deschanel, and so the album is like surprisingly upbeat, and I think that's part of the reason it didn't do very well.
Oh.
That was actually going to be my next question.
You gotta
but we'll get to it in a
capitalize on
second.
sadness.
Do you have anything else, Sean?
Oh no, that's it. That's it. I'm good.
Okay, Tyler, what'd you think?
I really liked it. I definitely think it had that sort of like in between Blink's, whatever their neighborhoods and the album before that. It feel like they sort of like beefed up. Like that felt like I don't know the musical terminology for it, but like they kind of the guitar playing wasn't nearly as like. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say.
Is the guitar playing more technical? Is that what you're trying to say, or?
It sounded more full.
Oh yeah, I do think there's a fuller guitar tone on this album. as a
Yeah,
whole.
like it felt like stronger. Like it felt like there was a
Like
little
it had a
more.
backbone to it.
Yeah. And so I really liked that. That was pretty cool because usually Death Cab for Cutie is pretty twangy, pretty light. I think in the guitar part,
Yeah,
guitar part.
but there's not much other than guitar on this album.
You said it sounded sad, but I didn't really essentially feel that. Because like that kind of like supports like what I was saying before, is that it feels fuller, so it doesn't feel nearly as sad as I guess that you guys both felt it sounded like. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that it sounds sad. I agree with you that it sounds fuller. That's for sure. It made me think like, I like this producer, whoever this guy is, because he really turned this album into something that's really full.
Which is interesting because the other albums which did so well were produced by the member who's leaving.
Right. And I like the fullness.
I like the fullness too. I do. I paid more attention to the lyrics than I think you guys did. I've also listened to it like 6-ish times, so that might be why.
Well, I never really pay attention to lyrics. Whoops.
But they talk about it in the NPR article, which we'll link as well, about, as I was saying, this is going to be my next question. Ben Gibbard married Zooey Deschanel around the time that he was writing Codes and Keys, which is the previous album, and then they got a really rough divorce around the time that he was writing this album, which I was really excited about because A, that means Zooey Deschanel is back on the market, and B, this album is sad because I just think he writes better sad songs than he writes love songs. And there's a lot of really sad lyrics on this album. The first track, I gotta remember what it is. Oh yeah, No Room in Frame. It's like this cinema television metaphor, and he says, apparently there's no room in frame for two. As if like her fame is too big for him, and it's pushing him out of the camera's frame. And I mean, it doesn't get much more of a straight shot at Zooey Deschanel than that. The second track, Ghosts of Beverly Drive, says, I don't know why I'm drawn to the scenes of these crimes. One song, the chorus is, my little wanderer, won't you wander back to me? Like, there's some really, like, typical Death Cab, but generally very sad lyrics on this album. And even the title is about, it's a form of sculpture in Japan where you take broken, like ceramic sculptures and then melt gold and use it to piece the sculptures back together like mortar between bricks. I don't know, I just really like the metaphor. I really like the lyrical content and how honest it is about a fairly public matter. A fairly public-private matter, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know, did that come across to you guys? Does the story change the album to you at all?
It probably should, but from one listen it doesn't. And I would say that calling their music sad is probably inappropriate. It's a little primary, especially for...
yeah, that's fair.
Right. It's more like introspective, maybe a little melancholy. You know, it's very focused on like reflecting on the self, and I think and sort of like takes sort of the negative or like slightly bad things in your life, not necessarily like being upset about them, but sort of just thinking and feeling about them. Because like Twin Size Bed, you know, it's like it's not really a song that's about like directly about bad things that have happened, but it's just sort of reflecting almost on the day-to-day and kind of just getting through it and just reflecting, it feels like. So it doesn't really feel sad.
Yeah, but I think that on the whole, Ben Gibbard writes songs about negative experiences better than he writes songs about positive experiences, I guess is what I was getting at.
That's true.
I think it's kind of easier to write songs about sad times than it is easier to write about happy times, you know, like Celebration is a lot easier to get through than than negativity. I don't like, so I see your question and I think, do sad songs get boring? I don't really think so, because sad is a big umbrella like meta emotive category that you could fit a lot of things under. Like Rebellion could be sadness. I don't know. I think what kind of upsets me about Death Cab for Cutie, even though I love the music of this band, I can say that I didn't really pay attention to the lyrics that much. A part of it is because I'm kind of like, okay, melancholy gets annoying after a while. Self-loathing melancholy gets annoying.
Yeah.
Having to listen to it all the time, like it's like old Taylor Swift syndrome, you know, where it was the joke that if you dated Taylor Swift, you were going to be in one of her songs that she broke up with you and whatever. And I think that's kind of what I've come to. I mean, but that kind of became her like kitsch, and I think in the same way that's kind of Death Cab's kitsch a little bit now. They're known for their melancholy sadness stuff. You know, maybe like a melancholy and a symphony of sadness or something.
Summertime sadness.
That summertime sadness.
But like, I mean, it's fine. I like the music. I think that's what did it for me. I just thought it was a really beautiful, rich musical album. You know, it'll be cool to see him play live.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun album to see live. So then my last question, and you kind of started to touch on it, Sean, is in the NPR article, they say that Death Cab is growing into middle age. And so I went back and listened to their first two albums, and there's definitely a change. But I don't know, can bands grow up? Is this band growing up?
I mean, of course bands can grow up. It's if they
if the
grow
music
up,
grows up with them.
right, and grows up with their fans, which is also important.
Mm-hmm.
It's from what I've heard, it seems like they're doing pretty well for me. I mean, it definitely worked for me. The album felt good to listen to. I was able to kind of like sit back and just kind of relax and just kind of take it all in for a moment. So, I mean, it may not be for old or younger us anymore. But I mean, the question I always ask is, who is this for? It's probably for people his age, or generally around the people that have been listening to his music for that long time.
I think growing old or not growing old, like growing older with your music is kind of difficult. And you see this in like reviewing of albums a lot. And I think, every artist kind of has their moment where they have to talk about this stuff, where you say, well, it doesn't really match up with what I was making when I was younger. Billy Corgan, hey Billy, talking about you again this week. Like I think
fan cast.
Yeah, I think that people kind of feel that way, that it's hard to keep intact. Okay, so another good example of this, I think, is Green Day. They had in the 90s, they had their really good music that people fell in love with them, and then I think like the first radical new direction for them was American Idiot, and it was kind of loved or hated depending on who you were, and then it just kind of was it 21st Century Breakdown and stuff, and people kind of said, oh, I don't like where they're going, blah, 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 and I think that, they were trying to say, well, we're getting older, we care about different things now, we want to make different music, we want to do, we want to do the musical or whatever. And
so, then they did Uno Dos Tre, which
right.
That was the thing.
The funny thing is that American Idiot almost feels like, like their 13-year-old album, and then, like Dookie, would have been like their 20s, 30s, super hit, almost feels like...
I'm the other way around. Dookie feels really childish to me.
Well, I think... It might have just been the way the scene kind of progressed, and that it started off, it was probably an older audience. Then American Idiot kind of happened. I feel like they kind of like went down. They did get
some pop success, and the age of the scene dropped. Yeah.
Right. That's sort of what I mean. I think it's kind of funny that they almost feel like they regressed and got younger, and then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
That being said, though, American Idiot was like my first punk album, so. I have a lot of love for that record. I really do.
It's okay, Sean. It's okay.
I know, Sean.
You're so damn cute.
But really, though, like all within the same period, American Idiot.
It wasn't Good Charlotte. That's all I'm saying.
3 Cheers, Cork Tree, and Plans by Death Cab for Cutie. Actually, were all like, they all came out kind of in that window we talked about last week, that mid 2000s. Emo punk surge, and the Untitled Blink album came out during that period too, that 2003 to 2005.
Yeah.
Which I think Blink has done a magnificent job of growing older.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah, talk about a band that has grown with their audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Death Cab for Cutie.
But I think it's difficult though. I mean, another good example of this is the Foo Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're... Well, for me, I didn't like Walk. I didn't like their new album that much. I love everything else.
Not the new album, Sonic Highways, but the one before it, Wasting Light.
Yeah, and Sonic Highways. I wasn't really into that one either.
Yeah, that didn't really sell me.
I would consider myself a pretty avid Foo Fighters fan, though. But I just think, like... I don't want to blame it on the Foo Fighters, because I think they're making music that they want to make, and that's all good. And I think that and I know people that love those albums. They think like, oh, they're great, and they love the old stuff too. But I think the Foo Fighters, like they put this emphasis on family all of a sudden, and to me that kind of just made their music go a little bit, to the not so angsty, angry Foo Fighters that I grew up with and loved.
When you say family, you mean like Yo Gabba Gabba friendly?
No.
No. Like they had that whole documentary where Dave was like, I want to go home and be with my kids all the time. And I get that. Like, I totally understand if you want to do that. And he's like, well, now when we go on tour, everybody comes with us. It's not like we're getting like crazy drunk every night and like partying all the time. Now we like just want to get back to the tour bus and go to the next city and, get up the next morning and make sure all the kids are taken care of and stuff. And I mean, that's a really honorable thing for them to do, for rock stars to do. But I know there's probably a lot of rock stars do that stuff, and it doesn't take that much of a toll on their musicality.
Well, and it's about like work-life separation.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl's the kind of guy who is gonna write about where he is in life, and his work is gonna reflect kind of his life situation. Where I think the Blink guys like Mark Hoppus can really separate and can be a persona, but then also be a family man when he's not on stage.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I love Dave Grohl.
I think Billy Joe from Green Day is kind of the same way. He is definitely a persona when he's in public. But by all accounts, like, he's a good father, and he's still in his first marriage, and he has like 2 or 3 kids. So
maybe like personally, maybe that's what I'm attracted to, is characters on stage. You know, like maybe I like stage personas. I like the White Stripes because they have a persona. I like, like Rammstein a little bit because they all have this stage persona. They can go and not be with it, but they have it, and when you go on stage you can see it, and it's like the spectacle thing that, you can, this character, it's a character, and it's cool.
Tyler, personas, no personas, what's you?
It was something let me just mumble some things. Okay. This is kind of like the topic I wanted to bring up like last week, which was like theme bands, like Dropkick Murphys and like the Misfits, and I wanted to actually talk about that. But I don't know, should we open up that pit now, or?
We're already 40 minutes into the episode. I think we should probably save that for another one.
For me, musically, I don't have a problem with it. Musically I have more of a problem with it than I do like a person.
So you're saying if the persona takes over the music, it's a problem?
Like, let's see. Forget it. Done. Moment's passed.
Okay, no, I think that's a fair argument.
Like the flea. The flea is not is a character that doesn't like, I feel like, go into music, or maybe does he?
Kind of.
Who, Flea?
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili
Peppers. Because you can feel his bass, his slapping his bass.
Yeah.
In the
I haven't heard him in other projects though.
That's true.
He plays on a lot of Mars Volta records, actually.
Oh, okay. I don't like them, so.
I still like the Mars Volta.
But that's done. We're done. Next topic.
Next topic. Sean, you want to talk about movie villains and antiheroes?
Yeah.
And TV villains and antiheroes.
Well, for those of you who have, I'll just start by plugging our survey real quick. For those of you who have taken our survey, those of you who haven't, please do. And I was looking at the results about what people wanted to talk about, and we kind of seem to get a little bit of bashing on that. We talk about music all the time that's only we know about and stuff. So I wanted to pick a broad genre because there was a good reaction to the Godzilla piece, and I like talking about that. And I thought it would be fun to talk about other things, movie-related, pop culture-related things. So,
spoiler: Godzilla's coming back this episode.
So I was reading. I went to the library, which is awesome, and I got this cool book that Taylor already knows about. It's called "I Wear the Black Hat." It's by Chuck Klosterman. He talks a lot about the villains and things like that, which kind of inspired me to do this. So we'll post the videos online so you can watch them. They're Watch Mojo movies, and there talks about TV villains, TV anti-heroes, villains and anti-heroes. And before we go to the questions, I just want to set out the definitions of what is a villain and an anti-hero, the difference there, just so we can talk about it for the show, because it's set by Watch Mojo, not really by me, because I think there's a lot of intermix here. But a villain is not the main character. He is the antagonist to the protagonist. An anti-hero is the main actor in a TV show or a movie that has morally reprehensible characteristics. So that's the definition according to Watch Mojo, which we'll use for here, but it's pretty blurred lines in terms of that. So the first question I wanted to ask you guys was your top 3 antiheroes or villains, and why?
Okay. So I guess I can go first. Um, Villains. I'm really shocked that in the video, I'm just going to spoil this because it's not really that important.
It doesn't matter.
In the video, they picked Moriarty from Sherlock as the number one villain.
Hmm.
What? No. No.
Well, I didn't agree with a lot of the videos either. I didn't think I was like, you missed a lot of people. But
I'm opening
that's
up.
fine. That's why I
when
asked.
it's my turn.
Okay, so
It's getting open.
their number two TV villain was JR from Dallas, which made me think, oh yes, they're gonna totally have my pick for number one, and they didn't. My number one villain is Killer Bob from Twin Peaks, who to this day terrifies me. Like, just seeing pictures of Ray Silva, who played Bob on Twin Peaks and then wasn't really an actor in anything else, I just, like, have to close the window because I'm like, I am going to dream about this thing. Like, Bob is absolutely terrifying. That being said, I mean, TV villains, they picked a lot of really good ones. I think the Penguin in the new Gotham series is really, really great. I'm very happy with him as a villain. I think Thomas on Downton Abbey needs to get a little more love as a villain. There's not a whole lot of conflict on Downton Abbey, but I love Thomas because he's like this power-hungry third in command of the servants, and so he just like lies and cheats and steals his way to the top of the aristocracy, which is really cool. It's like a villain you wouldn't really expect. I don't know what my number 3 is, but I'm just really, really mad that Killer Bob didn't make the list. Pisses me off.
Tyler, go. Open it up. Just.
Alright. Well, fucking open up this bit. Tywin Lannister is not a villain. Do either of you watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay. And this conversation's over. Y'all homies can just get out, leave.
Is that the blonde-haired kid?
No, Tywin Lannister is the guy from Game of Thrones. He's the guy that was ripping apart a deer. No?
I remember that part of the video, yes. I know who Tywin Lannister
Right.
is.
Well, I'll give you a TLDR. Okay, so in Game of Thrones, there's no black and white. Everything is shades of gray, 1,000 shades of gray, 50 shades of gray. All right, we got the jokes out of the way. Okay, so the like pure evil are like these Arctic zombie people that there's a giant ice wall that's protecting them from coming. So that's like the pure evil. The other pure evil is the like the Sun King, the baby boy King Joffrey, who's a piece of shit.
That's what I'm talking about.
And he's like just almost a being of pure evil.
But then everyone else is just kind of like warring factions, right?
Right. Everyone's out for number one. They're all trying to get what they want. I mean, you could say the Starks are like the good guys, but they're really just bad at playing the game. If we're being real, Tywin Lannister is.
I was making some hefty claims about this show, and I don't even watch it. If
Right.
you disagree, please rage
Oh yeah,
on
let him
Twitter.
have it.
Yeah,
Let him have it.
I am not.
Ohio for lovers. Hit him up on YouTube.
It's a fake Twitter. Tweet it, dude. Brunch.
The Starks could suck a dick, and I'm just saying. But Tywin Lannister is a man that just wants. He's okay. The Lannisters are the wealthiest family in all of Westeros. They got the money. And how they got that money was by being the best and being awesome. You know, like, they worked hard to get what they got. And Lannisters always pay their debts. They're not bad people. It's just that, like, the events that occurred throughout the series have kind of, like, forced them to be a little shitty. So I strongly disagree with Tywin Lannister being higher ranked than the governor from The Walking Dead. Have you watched The Walking Dead?
Nope.
No.
Okay, well, the governor just shoots people. He just, like, gets a little rapey with girls, like his prisoners. Like, he is crazy. Absolutely crazy. There's no reason why he should be lower on that totem pole than Tywin Lannister. I don't have a top 3. Because clearly, you guys don't watch the shows that I watch, and you guys don't watch the shows that I watch. So, forget it.
Okay.
Okay, Sean.
My number 3 is Jimmy Pesto from Bob's Burgers. He's Bob's villain because he always gets Bob. Like, Bob just can't win. It's the stupidest thing. Every time you show up, there's a space-off between Bob and Jimmy.
Oh, I just remembered my number 3, but keep talking.
Oh, if we could do cartoons, my number 3 is Vegeta. Duh.
Good choice.
Hey, I don't even watch that.
Actually, he's the anti-hero. Never mind.
Okay. No, that's fine. It can be. It just has to be one of the two. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, all right. Then it's Vegeta.
My number 2 is Saul, or I should say Jimmy McGill from Better Call Saul. He's my favorite anti-hero right now. Just because he's got the whole show devoted to him, and that show is fantastic. Period. Highly recommend watching it. My number 1 all-time favorite anti-hero ever is Homer Simpson.
Wow, that's like a throw from left field.
Really? You think so? Dude,
Yeah.
he is like the most morally reprehensible person on
That's
any
true.
television show, and it's been on since I was born.
Is Homer
An anti-hero?
Peter Griffin?
Well, yeah, no, but I think Homer is too. I don't think,
I
He's
guess I look at The
what?
Simpsons and see so many worse characters than Homer that relatively, I would say Monty Burns is a villain. Sideshow Bob is a villain.
is a villain. But Homer is the anti-hero. Because you end up rooting for the guy, because you think like, oh, Homer, you're going to win it out this time. Spider Pig, hilarious scene.
I guess. So
you root for the guy.
So I realized what someone else in my top 3 is. Killer Bob is obviously still number 1. But my number 2 slot is kind of contested right now, which I guess is why I don't have a number 3. Between Penguin on Gotham and Billy Bob Thornton's character on Fargo. Because holy crap, that dude was scary. Did you guys watch Fargo?
Mm-mm.
Well, I mean, you know
I don't
what
watch
Billy Bob
anything.
Thornton. You know what Billy Bob Thornton is like.
Yeah.
And he's basically just playing himself, going around rural North Dakota with ridiculous amounts of weapons, asking people bizarre riddles, and then killing them in super grotesque ways.
Mm.
And he helps Martin Freeman commit a murder, which results in Martin Freeman becoming an anti-hero, who is also a really good anti-hero.
Mm.
I don't know.
Okay.
I really like the Fargo franchise. I'm excited for it to come back.
Now, this brings me to a good question. Who's better? Anti-heroes? Villains? You have to pick. Keep it 100. You have to say one and then say why. One sentence. That's all you got. Villain, anti-hero, one sentence to defend it.
One sentence?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Keep it 100.
Anti-heroes. You can have a show where the entire cast is anti-heroes.
Valid. Okay, Tyler. Who's better?
Anti-heroes. I like my characters round.
Sean?
Anti-heroes, they freak me out because they're just like us.
Nice.
That was
So-
a bad question, Sean, because we all said the same
No,
thing.
I was thinking somebody would pick villains. I thought for
I
sure.
really thought Tyler was going to pick
Yeah,
villains.
I thought for sure you were
Well-
gonna pick villains too, because you seem like a villain guy.
Twitter, get at us. Let us
I was going to
know.
say, if I had
Give
more
us
than a
one letter
sentence,
and
I
then give
would,
us a
I would
sentence.
explain that, but...
I want things in the question box. I want things on Twitter. Let us know. So let's justify. For me,
Oh yeah, justify, Tyler.
now that we've done our one sentence, I said anti-heroes for a whole show because I think that's what makes Mad Men compelling.
Mm.
Is that everyone on
Don
that
Draper
show is
wasn't on the
terrible?
list. Mm-hmm. Not Peggy.
Nah, Peggy's not that bad. I guess that's
Peggy
true.
Hill?
No,
Peggy. What is her last name?
no one knows.
She has a last name. I don't remember what it is.
It's like Arnold. What's Arnold's last name?
Halt and Catch Fire is also a show of basically all anti-heroes. There's like one good character on that show, and she's a woman as well. I don't know. I really like shows where all the characters are kind of dodgy.
Okay,
That's why I
Tyler.
like Fargo.
Justify anti-heroes and villains.
Okay, alright, so I'm going to say a bunch of things that none of you are going to understand, so I'm going to get that out of the gate. Okay, so since I don't watch TV, I'm going to compare this to something that I can talk a lot about. I'm going to compare this to World of Warcraft. All right, we're good. Okay,
I'm
so
gonna make you start watching TV for this show just so we don't have to talk about World of
um,
Warcraft.
okay, no, but it's good. All right, so on the Alliance side, which is the good guys, the humans and people, there's Uther Lightbringer, who's one of the main characters. He's a paladin, and what do paladins do? They're like, we're all about the light. We just want to kill bad guys. You know, it's like, okay, cool, sweet. Then you have Arthas, the Forsaken King, who was once a paladin, but fell to the dark side because he had a lust for power, and then he became the Lich King. You know, it's like there's it's basically a story of Star Wars. Anakin is a much more interesting character than Obi-Wan. You know, there's
Well, let's rephrase that. Darth Vader is a lot more interesting character than Obi-Wan because Anakin is a terrible character. I hate Hayden Christensen. I think the
right.
prequels ruined the story of Darth Vader.
If you abstract the
Come
idea,
at me, Ben. I know you're gonna watch this and you're gonna say, "Oh, you're hating on Hayden Christensen and you can't give me a good reason." I don't care. I
if you
hate Hayden
abstract the
Christensen.
idea of Anakin Skywalker and that he was really hard, like he worked really hard and he had like this rough upbringing, then he tried to be on the Jedi Council. He got on the Council, but he wasn't granted the rank of Jedi Master, and then he was like, "Oh no!" But I also love, you know, it's like, oh, there's so much complexity there. It's so interesting, and then. But then Darth Vader, in the like the way that he's written in the other movies, is a little flatter, for being honest.
Well, okay, so I've thought about this.
Yeah.
Um, we're totally derailing on what Sean wanted to talk about.
Who cares?
But so the Incomparable, which
I
was
do.
an influence.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
So the Incomparable, which was a big influence on how we ran or how we came up with the idea for the show. They did an episode by episode, shot by shot coverage of all 6 Star Wars movies. And I haven't listened to all of them, but I specifically listened to the episode 3 one because it was the last one they did. And throughout the episode 3 podcast, which is 2 parts, it's about 3 hours long. If you want to listen to it, I'll link to it below. If you have like a road trip coming up, it's really good listening. But they talk about how episode 3 could have been a really great movie if they had talked about how Anakin like really just wanted to have a meaningful life and like be a Jedi Master, and he had this guy that he really looked up to in Emperor Palpatine, who then turned out to betray him, or turned out to betray the Jedi, and like Anakin's allegiances were split, and he like didn't know to go with this father figure in his life because he doesn't have a father, or to go with the organization that he's devoted his like professional life to. Instead, they make the movie about his wife being sick or his wife being pregnant and him not being able to tell anyone, and so he lies and says that she's sick, and then someone randomly says that she actually is sick and she's going to die unless he turns to the dark side, and then he's just like, "Yep, my woman's going to die, I guess I'm going to go kill some children." And throughout, they're just like, this could have been such a good movie. And they talk about this alternate universe where episode 3 is a good movie and people care about the prequels. And I'm like, man, this is where I want to live. I own the prequels, and I don't think I've watched them in like 4 years. And I don't want to, because I just want them to be better movies. And in my mind, they're better movies than they actually are. And that's my rant on the prequels.
Don't worry, George Lucas, I'm sure will fix them in a couple of years.
Yeah, don't worry. When you get 7 of them in a row,
There you go.
you won't have to worry about it.
That wasn't a T-rail. That was totally on point.
No, yeah, that was fine. That was good.
Okay, Sean.
Oh,
what's
why
up
did
with you and anti-heroes?
anti-heroes? I guess I like anti-heroes, and I want to separate this comment out that they're just like us. Not because I think that human nature is like evil or something like that, but like anti-heroes, I think a lot of times they're forced into really complex situations, even in movies. Some of them not so much, but and that you have to, that sometimes you do things that you know society would deem wrong, even though that's, you know, like you're just trying to do something right. And I think that that's really relatable for people, that it's, these characters are not black and white, that there's not this dichotomy of good versus evil, that there's always, you know, this good and evil that coexist together. And I think that's a really good story. I think there's a lot of those stories resonate with people because people see that in their own lives, they see it in the lives of other people. It kind of answers a lot of fun questions. Speaking of that, Tyler Durden in Fight Club,
Yeah.
he was on a lot of play on both these lists. I don't know, but sometimes anti-heroes I think like, oh, you are the worst, like Alex in Clockwork Orange. Like you really are just bad people.
Yeah, Alex and Clockwork Orange is such an outlier, though.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's what makes that movie and that book so good is that, he is an outlier. Like he really is like the freak case, you know. But immersion therapy is everywhere.
Yeah, and I think Dexter is another example of like they've made this show kind of lovable because it's just a little bit
Yeah.
campy. But he's basically the Alex character archetype
Do
from Clockwork Orange.
do you think that Dexter is a good character because he has a code, and that's what makes anti-heroes good people is that they have a code? Because I think like Walter White had a code. I mean, even Alex had a code. Like you don't piss off Alex. That was the code. That there seem to be fighting for something good, even though there's not something good. Like Homer Simpson just wants to be a good dad under there, but he always messes up for some reason. I think Peter Griffin's the same way too. Like he always messes up, even though he wants to be a good dad. He wants to impress people, but he's just a flawed person.
Yeah, there's definitely something there about intention.
Yeah.
It's the old D&D charts, right, Tyler? It's like
That's right.
chaotic
Do you want me to tell
evil
you?
versus it's chaotic evil versus what is it, lawful evil?
All right. So it's a scale. It's a slider. All right. So you go lawful good, chaotic good, neutral good, chaotic neutral, true neutral,
So it's a 9-point scale.
chaotic
Yeah, it's a
neutral,
9-point scale.
lawful evil, neutral evil, chaotic evil, chaotic evil is last. All right, so it's chaotic, neutral, and lawful. It's on a scale of like lawful is like you're gonna do things within the confines of a society of like the government. Like a lawful evil person is like a politician that's trying to manipulate, like uses the law to manipulate to get what he wants. There's chaotic, which is someone that follows their own moral code without the standards of society.
The Joker.
Right,
Exactly.
chaotic
Nucky
neutral,
Thompson would be the first one.
and then neutral, I believe, like has some basically neutral. He's kind of like a middle ground between the two. Has some interest in this, like he doesn't necessarily believe in the law, like in the law of the society, but also isn't gonna go out of their way to break the structure of society.
That's
Don
the
Draper.
Penguin.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Don Draper. That's the Penguin. That's
Most
Michael
people are neutral
Corleone.
good,
Yeah.
according to the scale.
Yeah.
So.
But I think it's much easier for us to identify with those neutral and lawful evils because they're just more understandable. Chaotically evil characters are interesting in that they're just so out there that you don't know what to expect from them.
They're almost so chaotic they're almost predictable. It's it's like a horde of a pack of orcs.
Since you can't predict them, you can predict they're not going to do something that they're going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Blam.
Which, for all you Twin Peaks nerds, if you're watching, the difference between Bob and Wyndham Earle. If you've gotten all the way through the second season of Twin Peaks, which you deserve a high five for struggling through episodes 14 through 16 of that show.
There's a fish in this cooler.
Bobby, I just need you to fix my husband's car. It's only going to take you a month.
I think what needs to happen is that we need to meet in the middle, and I need to watch something, and you guys need to watch something.
Maybe we should start assigning homework.
What?
Or we could have a side podcast where we just watch things and react to them.
See, you're evil. That's where you are. You're just the villain of this podcast, Taylor.
Bum,
That's what it is. I just make these
bum.
guys watch garbage. I had people over at my house this weekend and watched the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh my
That's
god.
how I am.
You are.
Hug me, I'm
Truly real
scared.
evil.
All right, I think that's as good a note as any to jump into shameless plugs. So this week we're going to start with Sean Jaws Evans. What do you have to plug?
Oh, no, nothing really. I don't really do much this week.
Follow him at Blood Minion on Twitter.
Yeah, follow my big hashtag, Blood Minion. At Blood Minion. Yeah, I don't know. New stuff this week. Can I talk about Muse real quick?
You can do whatever you
Yeah,
want,
go
buddy.
ahead and talk about
Okay.
these.
Okay, so just real quick, they published another thing. I know that we've been talking, I kind of want to talk about this as like a side thing really quick. That you guys don't like them as being political, but I went back and listened to most of their stuff, and they've been political throughout their entire discography.
Yeah, I just think it's more blatant now, and I wish it was a little more subtle.
I think it's been blatant the whole time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Give it a listen, kids. It's fun. They don't deny it in their
Catherine,
interviews.
Catherine says, I want to watch things and comment on them. I'm not good at that.
Side podcast.
Okay.
Woo! We'll do it.
Space Theater 3000.
Oh gosh.
Mysteries.
Or Science, yeah, Mystery Science.
Major Science Theater.
Doesn't
They're
matter.
doing a riff tracks of The Room, and I'm really excited.
You know he has a TV show now, apparently.
Yeah, the Tommy Wiseau.
Mhm.
Oh, believe me, I know what's going on with Tommy Wiseau. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. Okay, Tyler, any shameless plugs?
Okay.
Check out my
So-
t-shirts, guys. You're catching up this week, though. How many? What is this? You have to have 7 now.
Yeah. Oh, I have a huge back catalog. But
Okay.
hopefully, playing my cards right, going to be making T-shirts professionally. I was offered a chance to work at Where I'm From, which is a Cleveland-based T-shirt company. They make Ohio-themed shirts, specific to Cleveland. I had to design 2 sample shirts. One's just a Cleveland shirt with a inside of a Cleveland, and then the city skyline inside of a basketball, which I didn't actually
It's cool.
know. I didn't actually know what the important part of the Cleveland skyline was, so I just
You got it.
Okay,
It
good.
looks fine.
because I had no idea. I was like, I think this is important. And the other one was I had to make an OU themed shirt, OU Ohio University shirt. I get that confused sometimes. And so I decided to do a wonderful rendition of Rufus the Bobcat. And he has his own pub apparently, the Brawling Bobcat Pub. Party to fight the party. Because after watching a video about a drunken midget riding a donkey, and people just ramming alcohol down their throats, I figured at least one person would got in a fight during that time period. So I figured they like to fight, they like to party. I went to
And-
NKU, so I have no idea.
And real
about
talk,
any of these
if you could print that shirt on like Heather Gray with green screen printing, I would
Yeah.
wear it all the time.
Okay, well, if they like it or they don't, I'll either have it on like Redbubble, or they might have them on their site. I don't know. They said they weren't going to use them though.
Well,
But you
then,
can
if
find-
they don't, you could put it on Redbubble.
Right. Bam. Done. All right. Find me at Ohio for Lovers on Twitter. It's TDR Design on Twitter, Tumblr,
Facebook.
Facebook,
Yeah, Facebook.
Threadless.
Oh,
Anything that matters. What?
before Tyler goes, so you published that shirt online, and I know a bunch of people down there in the Nasty Natty were hating on people from Cleveland, and sorry for your mistake of having to do things in Cleveland. Having lived in both, let me just stick up for Cleveland and say that I would rather live here for the rest of my life than live in Cincinnati.
You lived in Cincinnati in the dark ages, though.
No.
to be fair.
The Cincinnati was.
I'm pretty sure Cincinnati wasn't a city in the Dark Ages, Taylor. I'm
I mean,
pretty sure
I meant
it
the
was-
dark ages of the mid 2000s.
I mean, so
Okay.
no more hating on Cleveland, because if you haven't been here and you don't know what Cleveland is like, don't hate. We get better concerts than you guys. We have better
Thanks,
basketball
Dafu.
teams than you guys. We're going, like we have a better rock scene than Cincinnati. Sorry, guys. I don't want to say that, but we do. I mean, I love it here. So no hating. Stop hating.
Well, and that brings me to my shameless plug. I didn't do anything super productive this week, although you should all shamelessly plug this show to your friends. But I did go to a Gaslight Anthem concert last night in Columbus.
Hey.
And at one point in the show, Brian Fallon alerted us to a tragedy. And he did a long rant on it during the show, and I'm going to do a long rant on it during this show, because when you two hear this, you're going to be very upset. Just
Wait,
like
is this about pizza or is this actually serious?
No, this is actually real.
Okay.
So, apparently, every morning when they get to a new city, Brian Fallon goes to Starbucks, and he gets the Starbucks branded mug for whatever the city they're in is. So if he's in St. Louis, he asks to have his coffee in the St. Louis mug or the Minneapolis mug or whatever. And so they pulled into Columbus yesterday, the last night of the tour, and he was like, I'm going to have coffee in my Columbus mug. And they give him the mug, and it just says Ohio. And he was like, no, this is not okay. Ohio has 3 major cities in it, and I've played shows in all 3 of them.
And 2 football teams.
Right.
And 2 national football teams.
And an MLS soccer team. And 2
an
baseball
MLS soccer team.
And
And
the
2
soon
baseball
world
teams.
champion Cleveland Cavaliers from Cleveland. From Cleveland.
Right. And so he said, I don't care what part of Ohio you're from. You need to tweet at Starbucks and be like, where's my mug? And I think this is the perfect campaign for Dudes Brunch and our fans to get behind, along with the fans of Gaslight Anthem and people all over Ohio. Because really, why don't we have mugs? There are tons of people that live in those 3 cities.
Right. Exactly. You could put the dirty C on that mug, and you could put it in 3 cities.
Yeah. Waikiki has a mug. Not even Honolulu, the capital of Hawaii, but Waikiki. And we just get 1 mug for our entire state.
Wait, what about Kentucky?
I think they have a Louisville mug. I don't think they have any other ones.
Fuck,
New Jersey.
come on, we're more important than Louisville.
I know!
They just make baseball bats.
New Jersey has 0 mugs. And
Well,
he was,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I'm from Jersey. I'm not even in this fight. But you guys, I feel sorry for you. You need to have 3 mugs. And I totally agree. I think we need a Cincinnati, a Columbus, and a Cleveland mug at Starbucks.
Yeah, you hear that, Seattle? Get your act together.
If you can hear us in Seattle, we're mad, and we don't care if you can see Alaska or Russia or your minimum wage is $15. We want our mugs. I'm going to tweet at them. I might schedule a tweet for every day this week.
Hold up,
complaining
wait a
Did you
minute.
not know that their minimum wage is $15 an hour,
Who's got
Tyler?
$15 minimum wage?
Seattle has a $15 an hour minimum
What?
wage. Yeah.
I'm
just
moving there.
That's called social progressivism.
Get with it, Cincinnati.
I want a mug with my city on it. I don't even want Athens on a mug. Nobody cares about Athens. But I want Cincinnati
See what we're
on it.
talking about? This is why this show is so great. We can talk about the social injustice of an unfair minimum wage.
Complain about mugs.
But demand that Starbucks print a mug with Cincinnati, Columbus, and or Cleveland on it.
No, and there need to be 3 mugs. I will not rest. Actually, I will, because I'm really tired. But I will not stop tweeting until there are 3 mugs. I mean it.
I'm sure Brian Fallon says that to every city, or I'm sure he really likes to talk kindly of the one time and then this time that you've talked about him. He seems to like Cincinnati just enough. Maybe he does that to every city, but it seems like he has some appreciation for what we do here.
I mean, I think he's a small-town guy who just appreciates the fact that he can tour nationally. But really, like, I've seen the Ohio mugs. I just had never really thought about it until he said something, and now I'm angry.
What about Ohio do you think that he might appreciate?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a Midwestern state that enjoys rock and roll music, and
Just like the other ones.
just like all the other ones.
Yeah. And we give them free jackets.
We do. We give them
We do.
free jackets. He wore one of our jackets on stage, not
There you
Brian
go.
Fallon, but Alex.
Did he say
Lehman.
it? Did he
No,
say
they
it?
didn't say anything. He didn't say anything the whole time. He just sang backup vocals, which I'm fine with. He plays bass.
Right.
All right, so with that, make sure you tweet at Starbucks to complain about mugs. Make sure you check out Tyler's shirts. Make sure you follow Sean's Tumblr.
Yeah.
And with that, we will see you all next week
And
on
his
Dude's
secret
Brunch.
fashion blog.
Oh yeah, if you can find Sean's secret fashion blog, he will mail you a puppy. I don't know how he'll do it, but he'll do it.
It'll be a pug.
Well-
They fit well in boxes.
Judging on how well they found the post on his Tumblr in the first place, it's pretty tough. So they might not even find his fashion blog.
Who knows? All right. Real quick, Sean, what are we talking about next week?
Oh, crap.
Didgeridoos.
I just had it in my head. You want to talk about
Didgeridoos,
that?
Sean.
And the people that love them.
There you go.
They're from down under and they toot like thunder. Didgeridoos.
If you want to hear us talk about didgeridoos, Starbucks mugs, and social progressivism, tune in next week. This has been Dude's Brunch.